Welcome to an abbreviated holiday edition of the weekly supplement minus 9 weeks down, 9 to go. I'm Hawkeye the sports guy, and due to the captain's meeting and some rescheduled and unreported games, we only have 7 games to review this week.
And I am a happy O-Day, wishing all of you colonists a very happy Canada Day. Canada, of course, is the native word for we are still the boss of you.
Alright, let's not start a war here. The first game on the docket was the dog catchers at the Wild. This turned out to be one of the better defensive games of the season. Both teams started with 2-run first innings. The Wild would go ahead 8-6 after 5 innings before both pitchers locked the game down. Randy Hipkin in particular retired the last 7 Wild players he faced. Only 4 players total saw 4 at-bats in this game as base runners were at a premium. The Wild would win by an 8-6 count on the strength of Captain Tony's 2 runs scored.
Our next game saw the preseason favorite Beer Brothers visiting the Blue Jays in a battle of the Suds. The Blue Jays uncharacteristically hit-tapped the keg early in this one and gave up 27 runs to the previously malingering Beer Brothers. The Beer Brothers had 4 runs scored from Steve Ross, Hutch, Paul Pilouche, Stars Key and Mark Doyle, who is trying to decide whether he prefers the nickname Cagney or Lassie. Not to be lost in this night of tremendous offices was the 6-for-6 performance of Mr. Delgado, the Pie Man. 5 singles and a double. Chicks dig the long ball, but teammates love the on-base percentage.
The Dusty Cleats hosted the suddenly hot Banshees. The Cleats won their first 6 games by a combined 72 runs. They had won their last 4 games by a total of 5 runs. The question being asked at the weekly supplement is, are the Cleats about to come back to earth? The answer is no. At least not yet. Like the Grizzlies, Dodge City Rounders, hurting units and dislocated joints before them, the Banshees put up a great effort but came up a little short in a 20-15 decision. Koopman's 4-for-4 night with 3 runs scored wasn't quite enough next to Scott Barton and Robin Dixon both going 5-for-5 with 4 runs scored. Now it's the Blue Jays' turn to try and upset the perfect season. We'll be covering that game and provide real-time updates.
The hurting units hosted the torn ligaments in a battle of teams separated by only 2 points in the standings. The units started slow in this one, which is not their norm. They ended up being shut out in 4 of the 7 innings as Mike Olife and Chris Lakin were the only players to record multiple hits. The ligaments were on fire in this one as 5 players had 4 hit games. Raider, Bobby Mack, Gord, Cam and Roger were all swinging hot sticks, and Roger also scored 4 runs. The final in this one was 19-6 in favor of the ligaments.
The 3-6 dislocated joints hosted the 9-1 Lucky Stiffs. Don't let that 3-6 record fool you. The joints are 2-2 in their last 4 games, and the 2 losses were by a combined 2 runs, and one of those 1-run losses was to the undefeated Cleats. The joints are tough, as the Stiffs found out. The Stiffs' flight was delayed, so they didn't get into town until 5 in the morning. They were understandably tired, but everyone has to play on the road, so that there's no excuse. The Stiffs had 29 base runners in the game, but it only translated to 9 runs as the Joints' defense made the critical outs. For the Joints, Dennis Pendlebury, Larry Goosney, Terry Doucette, and Dan Swabuk were all 4-for-4 on the night. The final score was dislocated Joints 16 and the Lucky Stiffs 9.
Doris celebrated his 2nd consecutive game without an injury by going 4-for-4 against the Dog Catchers, but it wasn't enough as the Red Dogs dropped a 22-6 decision. Also having perfect nights for the Red Dogs were Gooden Will Hunting and Steve Brooks, who continues to tear it up. The Catchers won the Battle of the Dogs on the strength of perfect nights from Tim Sullivan, Dave Poulney and Larry Turner, who were all 5-for-5. Gary Cox and Tim Sullivan also both scored 4 runs each in a huge night for the Dog Catchers offense.
The last game on the schedule is not without controversy, as the reeling Blue Jays hosted the rudderless Grizzlies. The captains of the Grizzlies, Robert Farah Esquire and Doug Dwyer, were suspended for their consistent mishandling of the third base position. Bill Salescio was installed as the interim captain. Bill saw it appropriate to show up in the 3rd inning for his debut as a captain. When he got there, the Grizzlies were down by a score of 10-2. Under Bill's leadership, the team rallied back to lead 13-10 after 5 innings. The game was a back-and-forth affair, and the Grizzlies would need 3 runs in their half of the 7th to force the Blue Jays to play the bottom of the inning.
The Grizzlies got their 3 runs and the Blue Jays came to bat needing 1 run to win. Paul Hargreaves led off with a 3-hopper to third base that former captain Doug debuted. There is some thought that this was done on purpose to ensure that Bill wouldn't achieve a tie game in first installment as captain. To quote Doug, "I only make 3 out of 10 plays anyway. Missing on purpose takes too much concentration." Be that as it may, Jim McDonald singled to put runners at first and second with none out and the mighty Lynn Forrester at the plate. Lynn prolonged the agony by flying out before Captain Bo ripped a double scoring haul with the winning run. Final score: Blue Jays 18, Grizzlies 17. After the game, umpire Chris Nears visited the Grizzlies dugout to confirm what inning Bill entered the game. When told that it was the 3rd inning, he declared Bill to be an illegal substitute and threw him out of the game and informed him that it's both a suspendable offense and a 7-0 forfeit loss for the Grizzlies. Thanks, Bill. It's supposed to be a fun league, you know.
Well, that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us.
Right. And don't forget, Blue Jays and Dusty Cleats. The undefeated drama continues 7 o'clock Tuesday at Coventry.